This video is for the Members Mark 36-inch wood pellet grill that I purchased from Sam's Club with my own money. These are my own opinions. What you're going to see and hear are pretty unedited, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be glad to help. Here it goes. Alright, so you've probably seen all my pictures so far of unboxing. Got all my parts over there with the manual. And the legs I put over here. There's my scale I weighed that drip pan with. Now here's the main grill. Obviously all the weight is in the body that you see there. I cut open one side of the box since I'm doing this by myself. Instructions are pretty clear, especially if you use that built app. It's my first time using it, and it's pretty neat because it has audio that walks you through everything. You can zoom in to see what goes where, click on it, and tell you what part it is. So right now I put the front, right, and left legs on, and it tells you when you click on the built app which one's which, and it's almost exactly, I mean, it is exactly like the grill. So you have the little opening right here on the built app that shows you which way is the back, which one's the front. That way you can, and the smoke box obviously opening right there, so you know which one it is right there as well. More to follow. Okay, so I finally got it put together. I do have a couple of recommendations I can make for even Embers to correct on their paperwork here, and even on the built app. Part of it, is just not paying attention. I'm sure a lot of us do that. Maybe we don't. Maybe it's just me. But the only thing, again, like I mentioned earlier, is, to me, this is the side the pellet hopper goes on, and this is how you pull it from, because the wheels go on this back end. So to me, this is the front and this is the back. However, it also makes sense that this right here is the front and this is the back. It makes sense either way. I get it, but I look at it from the way I pull it. I pull it from the front. The back is where the wheels are at. So one thing I had to pay attention to, and for some reason I got the front legs on no problem. I happen to put them on correctly. They are numbered 23 and 24 if you look at that. But I had a hard time not only with the legs. I had 21 on the bottom and 22 on the top here, so I had to switch those. And then you have to pay attention that you put these screw holes lined up correctly. I had them on the side here before, so I had to take these two legs out and redo these two legs, and that's the only pain in the butt part I found so far. The only other thing I wish they would have done for quick, easy assembly before you take everything out of the box, as you can see there's a bunch of boxes there, is these support plates here on both ends. I wish they would have put them together with the legs on top, like you saw in the pictures that I'm posting, where the legs are on top. I wish those mounting plates were there, so that you can at least get the legs and the mounting plates and even the wheels, maybe the wheels on top instead of the wheels being in the box. Yes, the boxes are labeled of what they have inside, but you basically have to take everything out of the inside of the core of the grill. Then you have to find the box that those are in. Then you have to open the box. Then you have to dig down because the wheels are at the bottom of the box, right? It's not a big deal, but for quick and even faster, less painful assembly of having to take things out and open things and do all this, it would have been nice if the legs, the support brackets, and the wheels were right there, so you can put at least this part together, right? The wheel part together, the support bottom piece, and then stand up the grill, and then continue the rest of them, opening the boxes and doing what you need to do. That's the only thing I have found so far. But so far, I am absolutely impressed with how well this grill is built. Not only how well, but how heavy it is and how thick the metal is, and just how everything lines up really nice.
All right, here's another small detail. Just don't want you guys to miss it. The bolt that goes through the top to the bottom here has two washers. Make sure you put one washer here and one washer at the bottom.
All right, so I have the hopper in, and I just want to point something out. As much as I want to use the built app, which is really cool, I find it better to look at detail if you want to see where a washer goes, if it's on the inside or the outside or both, or you can click on it easier instead of reading through the instruction manual on paper, the manual does a better job. Let's say, for instance, here, where it shows you washer on top, washer on bottom for the wheels, etc. It also points out the what they call the hold heat plate bracket, or the not the hold. It just says to hold a heat plate. But the actual heat plate bracket. It shows you here to install that. When you go through the built app, it kind of, when you're installing the hopper, it just kind of is there. It shows up there. It doesn't show it like going into place in motion, because it shows like a little video. It doesn't really show that. It just appears there, and you're supposed to know that that part is there, and the screws go through it. So the manual does a better job as far as piece by piece, where the app does a better job of actual detail. If you need to see it, rotate it, zoom in, zoom out, etc. One thing I want people to notice is this, which I didn't know this, and it's not a bad thing. It's just cool. It's different. This whole grill is oval shaped, as you can see. It's not a perfectly round barrel. It's a very egg shaped oval, which gives you the very good height on the inside when you're cooking things for the grate on top and the grate on the bottom, or a tall turkey. This pellet hopper, I was able to hold up with one hand in here, and none of us have T-Rex hands, I would hope. So doing this was pretty easy. The box weighs about 10 pounds, the pellet hopper box, 10 to 11 pounds. So you hold it with one hand, put the screw in that bracket here, and then you just put one screw in on the right side here, and one screw right here on the left. And you don't tighten them all the way, because you're gonna have to adjust it so you can put the bottom left and the bottom right in, so that you can adjust it properly so the screws go in properly, so you don't strip them. And then once they're 3/4 of the way in on all 4 of them, then you start tightening. I did top left, bottom right, top right, bottom left, as I went around tightening them, just to make sure it's in there properly. Right. Here's another interesting thing that I found. The thermometer, they call it the thermocouple, right? It shows it here on the manual when you're putting in the pellet grill, and it doesn't say anything. It doesn't tell you to take it out, because it's tucked away inside the pellet hopper right there. So you got to kind of untuck it, throw it out to the backside, and if not, it's not hard to grab it. If you mount the pellet box, you just reach in there with 2 fingers and pull it out. It's not a big deal, but it doesn't tell you until page 9. Actually, is it page 9? Yeah, it's page 9 right here, is when it tells you to install it. However, on the built app, again, it goes from having you install the hopper and the plate here, to installing the handle on the front, which to me is not a big deal, but then it tells you to do the thermocouple temperature reader after that. Like, if I'm already working on the box, let's do the more important things, which to me, the thermocouple is a lot more important than a handle. So, like, it should have said, remove the thermocouple, install the so this basically goes in, and you turn it to install it, right? So it has to turn upward. You pull it out, and it's a little 4-inch or so thermocouple, but it's tucked in back here, so you don't see it. So you got to kind of just leave it hanging like this when you install the pellet hopper. And then once you do that, the next step should automatically be insert this upside down like this, right? And as it goes in, then you turn it to the left, and then you're able to mount it in the 2 holes that are there. And then after you got that, then you should put on the handles. So it's just small things like that. Not a big deal, but it's small things. To me, that thermocouple is a lot more important than a little handle for right now. All right, here's another thing. The thermocouple bracket can be put on after. It doesn't go before or anything like that. You basically install the thermocouple, and then this is open on the back end. You just slide it over the thermocouple, a screw here and a screw at the bottom. Just 2 screws, that's it. And again, I kind of jumped ahead on that one, because the instructions had me do the handle, then the thermocouple, and then the thermocouple bracket. So, not a big deal. Just follow the instructions. So I just want to point something out before I install this heat baffle. I don't know if you can tell, but this thing is pretty well built. This thing's actually way better than I thought it was going to be built. The thickness, as you can see here, of this heat baffle. They give you stainless steel screws. I mean, this thing is no joke. It weighs by itself in my hand probably a good 2-3 pounds, 4 pounds, just for this metal piece. This heat baffle. You can see the thickness of it here. Hopefully this camera can do it justice, but it's thick. It's not some thin piece of aluminum or thin piece of stainless steel to make it cheap. They actually gave you, I'm very impressed by the quality of this. So they actually gave you a quality part here. To go ahead and tighten this heat baffle screw, you just use a wrench that it came with and just tighten these screws. Simple as that, and they go in pretty easily. Okay, I just want to show putting the smoke box in on the inside. Just lift that heat baffle that you see there, because it makes it a little more easier. And then there's these little brackets on the side that stick down off this heat box here. And what I did was I put one on the left here first, and then I put it on the right, and I pushed down, and it just fell into place. And then you just line up the hole, so obviously it's in the right spot here, but there's a lined up hole right there. As you can see, on both sides there's a bracket, so just wanted you all to see that. And the smoke box pretty much lines up almost to the very back of the pellet hopper there. There's maybe a 1/4 inch gap, 1/2 inch gap at the most, so not bad at all. Alright, here's another lesson learned when installing that smoke box, and something I think they should put in the instructions. As you can see, a regular screwdriver obviously is not going to fit into the left side here, which is fine. Just make sure you have a little shorty, a little 3-4 inch long one to put in here and be able to tighten this screw as needed, right? Because without one, you're not going to get a regular screwdriver in there, and you can't tighten it any other way. So I think to the owner's manual, they should show that you need both screwdrivers, short and a regular standard screwdriver. Another thing I want to mention is once you have the smoke box in here and that heat baffle should sit right next to it, and you should have a little small gap. And yes, the heat baffle goes up at an angle. It's not going to lay perfectly flat. Don't expect it to. That's normal. So just so you're not alarmed. Alright, so here's the door to the smoke box. Weighs 1.94 pounds, as you saw in my pictures, and it measures almost 8 3/4 long by about 4 3/4 tall, and it has this nice little handle on it so you don't get burned like on the Woodwind Pro. That's one thing I didn't like about it. And then it has a lock on the inside, and it's insulated. Again, insulated with the stainless steel double wall design with the little barrier around there, little heat and smoke barrier. So very well designed here. Alright, so on the smoke box door, has the 2 little hinges you just slide on from left to right, and only on the right one is there a screw with a washer that holds it in place. Make sure you start that screw with your hand first, and then once it catches, then you can screw it in the rest of the way, because there's very little clearance here, and it's a little tough with the screwdriver because it's right up against the barrel here. But it's actually a really nice design. So closing it to the right, opening it to the left, you just turn it, pull it down. As you can see, nicely insulated. Put it back up, turn it, and it's closed. Won't go anywhere. And just for those who want to know, the smoke box goes in about 4 1/4 inches deep. This here where. So maybe you all figured it out by now. As I go along and I install, I kind of like to cover more of the parts I have issues with versus the basic stuff, or stuff that's not clear. And most of it has been clear. I already installed the induction top here. It's a very nice induction top. The screws for induction are stainless steel screws, and I'm sure it'll vary by grill because they try to be as accurate as possible. But you think as you put in this bottom one on the left, they're gonna hit the wall. It actually clears it pretty good. The one that I had problems with is this one on the right, and as you can see, it's really, really tight in there and at a weird angle. So what I had to do was don't tighten the screws all the way on the right hand side. or the left, but more so the right. Push the box out a little on the outside, the induction, and then push that screw all the way through so that you can see it between the crack right here. So you can see it, and then screw it a little by hand, and then come back and tighten it with the screwdriver. And then it went in. It was a little tough going in, but just keep on screwing. It won't strip it. I did it by hand, just me, and I held it up with one hand on that side. I put the screws inside the barrel here, and as I held it up, I screwed one by hand on the top left, and then I did the top right, and then I did bottom left, bottom right, and it was pretty easy. So, I mean, so far it's been a one-person job, like I said, even though it says two. I mean, sure, two would be nice to have somebody to hold this, but if you don't have that luxury, or your wife is really busy with the kids like mine, then you could just install this. As you can see, the handle sticks out about 6 inches. Not a big deal. It's just bigger and wider and sticks out further than most handles I've seen, which kind of gives it some character, to be honest with you. I kind of like it. When I first put it on, I was like, what the hell? But now that it's on, I actually like it. Alright, so I just put the hooks on, the stainless steel hooks. And I have to mention something I didn't even pay attention to or notice. You know, in the pictures they show, you see all these hooks all over here to one side with a bunch of sockets hanging. But what I didn't see was there's a stainless steel rod that runs the complete length of the grill. And you can put your hooks all the way across, or even buy more to add more, or have that space to, you know, smoke a leg of lamb or whatever you want to smoke in here. It slides all the way across. It's not just to one side. So I just wanted to mention that. The other thing on the Induction has a nice little power wrap on there. And what I did was I brought it all the way around, and then I wrapped it through the middle here so it stays perfectly fine. It's holding well. So far, it's a great grill. I mean, I'm super impressed. I can't wait to fire it up. One thing I want to mention here that I really like as another feature is a drip pan. On my Traeger, one side was longer, the right side was longer. It was about 1 inch or 2 inches longer on the side here where you insert it, and short on this side. This drip pan is the same, left or right, so when you put it in, it doesn't matter if you have it flip-flopped or not. Either side can go either way. I just want to mention that. And just in case you're all wondering, all those little dark spots on there, those are all the weld points that burn through on the stainless steel. Not a big deal. It's all going to turn dark anyways as you cook. But I just wanted to mention, I think that was a great thing that they did here. And obviously it starts up high on the left and it goes down low on the right, with the drip bucket underneath here that everything pours into. All right, I got it together. I just want to mention a couple more things that I noticed that is just kick butt. These grill grates, when they say they're thick, they mean it. Thick porcelain coated grill grates. They weigh about 6.5 pounds each. There's 3 of them, so about 20 pounds just in the grill grates on the bottom. Top one obviously is a thinner wire, but it's one shelf, which I love. I don't have to worry about the 2 shelf thing like the Woodwind Pro had. It's just one nice shelf in there. And you know, if you wanted to, I'm sure when they come out with it, you could probably get a rack on top that sticks out another 2 or 3 inches if you really needed it to. I think it's fine the way it works. Let's measure this to see how wide this back rack is. Okay, so from the back of the rack to the front, we got about 9.5 inches. 9 inches? Yeah, about 9, almost 9.25 inches. So it's fantastic. And the bottom grates from back to front. Let's see what these go for. How far along? So 17 inches, 17 and a half from the very back to the front, 17 and a half for the bottom grates. And they're very well built, very nice and heavy. I mean, this whole thing is a monster. I'm very, very happy with it. We're going to see now, I'm going to fire it up, see how it holds temps. I'll update you guys with some videos on that. But for $4.99, what a steal. What a steal. Especially knowing that I was going to spend $1,100, $1,200 for a Woodwind Pro 36. Or a 24, not even 36. I take that back. I got the extra room here. I got the Induction side. I got the big 20-pound hopper. One thing I wanted to mention, as you can see, there's Induction fans on this
induction cooktop here, which keeps it electronics cool. But one thing I thought was really great was the connector that they have. It goes from the top here, it goes into this waterproof connector, goes through a grommet on the side of the grill, and underneath, as you can maybe see or not see, let me see if I can get some other light in there. As you can see, it has tie downs. They have a tie down, one right there, one in the middle, right, and then one at the end over there. And you just tighten them as you need them, and they work really well, and they go into the bottom of the hopper here, so that when you plug in one side, it powers everything. Really great little design there.
All right, it is 5:55 p.m. I just added the pellets, opened the top, the hood like it says, filled it with the pellets, and I just follow these instructions here. And when you press the button like it says, it sets it automatically to 200 degrees. Tells you what the current temperature is here outside, which is 55, which is pretty accurate, I would say. And so once it catches fire here, and I start seeing all that smoke, I'm going to go ahead and close the lid, and then we're going to see how long it takes for it to get to 200 degrees. 6:20 p.m. Starting it up with no pellets in the hopper. I mean in the auger. Sorry, excuse me. No pellets in the auger. And starting it up, it took about 9 to 10 minutes for the pellets to reach the pot, catch on fire, and then ignite. And as you can see, this little auger symbol, it spins to let you know the auger when it's turning, when it's not. And there it goes, shut off, so the auger stops spinning. I put 2 probes in there. The 2 probes, as you can see, they're somewhat pretty accurate compared to what the temps are reading. And as I noticed when I set it 200, they all 3 became pretty accurate within 4 or 5 degrees of each other. As it's climbing, of course, it's going to get hotter, and then they'll stabilize. But there's a little lightning thing you'll see on my pictures. That's when the lightning rod is on. It's on for the first 8 minutes. And then it took about another 8 to 9 minutes for it to get to 200 degrees once it lit. And so far, it's been from 200 to 330 degrees that you see there. It's been, let's see, what time is it now? It's been about 6 minutes to go 130 degrees from 200 to 330. So it's climbing pretty quick, as you can see. It's actually really, really nice. I'm glad I saved my money and I bought this guy. Really am. We'll see how it performs when I cook. That's the other test, right? So I'm doing the burn in right now. Let it get up to 200, and then, as the manual says, turn it up to 400 for 45 minutes. So I'm burning it in now. Okay, I just wanted to update you all. It's now 6:27. I'm at 410 degrees. The set point is 400, so it goes over a little, obviously, as it drops pellets. But from 6:16 to 6:27, it went from the 200 to the 410 that you see. So pretty quick, as you can see. I mean, very, very happy with how fast it comes to temp. Just letting it burn in now for the next 45 minutes. Alright, I'm getting ready to shut this down in the next 5 minutes. The burn-in's pretty much done, but I wanted to let you all know something that I thought was absolutely fantastic. And what they say is real. This thing holds temperature extremely well. It's not very cold over here, but I think even in the cold, even with a thermal blanket would help if needed, but the double insulation and how efficient the controller is with this thing is just absolutely amazing. Nice big numbers, 2 inches taller, so that you can read. I can read it all the way from my kitchen, and I'm about 30 feet, 25, 30 feet away, sitting at the kitchen table where it was at, and I can actually read the 407 degree temperature. The other thing I wanted to mention is the 2 probes I have in there, probe 1 and 2. I just have them hanging inside, try not to touch the metal, and as you can see, they're pretty accurate. Everything's within a few degrees of each other, the top end and the bottom end, within 4 or 5 degrees of each other, which is absolutely fantastic. But it will come down, as you see it coming down now, 406, and it'll actually maintain between
400 and 405 on average, within a 5-degree hold. It goes up to 407 or so, and then it drops down almost, I want to say immediately, but within a few minutes, 3-4 minutes, it starts dropping. And it's always within that.
Alright, so I've had this thing running for over an hour. I was going to shut it down, but I figured, heck, you know what? I'm going to let it run for a couple of reasons. One, as it gets colder, I want to see how efficient it stays. As you can see, I still have it set to 400, and there you go.
Those probe 1 and 2, it's because I think it's because I opened the smoke door, fire door here,
just to see what it looked like inside as it was burning. Nothing exciting there. But the most impressive part, as you saw in my pictures earlier, I had this thing filled almost to the top, but not quite. And for the last hour, almost last hour now, I've had this up to 400 degrees, and it's barely pulled any pellets. It's that efficient. And I think this is something that not a lot of people talk about. They mention it, but you don't really see it until you kind of own it. I know my Traeger was smaller. It was a little Tex 22. I think it's called the Pro 22 now, because they changed the name when they got purchased. But even at 300, 400 degrees, that thing ate through crazy pellets. And this thing, for being 36 inches, is just unbelievable how much more efficient it is at burning pellets. And again, as you can see here, one thing to mention, the last thing I'm going to mention before I shut this down, is this smoke box. It's really important that before you start up your grill, there's a flame, you can see it shooting in there, and it reaches there, as you can see, so it'll definitely catch fire to everything. But the most important thing is, before you start your grill and turn it on, put your wood chunks or your charcoal or whatever you want to burn inside there, and then turn on the unit. That's how they're going to catch fire and then smolder. Whenever you open this door, the oxygen that it pulls in will light them on fire, and then they'll smolder again once you close it. I will be testing that again, just to be sure. But I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that to you guys. I wanted to show you how efficient this pellet hopper was, this whole grill in itself, and how stable it is. And again, one thing I have mentioned on here, if you all have been following me, is this is not a PID controller. I talked to Shane at Even Embers, who's the company who designed this, and he confirmed with his engineers that this was not a PID controller, and that's okay. I'm totally okay with that, because this thing doesn't need it. It is so efficient that I'm totally happy with the way it keeps temp. Overall, super happy with this thing so far, mainly because of how well it holds temps. But again, the true test is going to be brisket, pulled pork on Friday, and we'll see how this thing goes. I'll definitely be providing updates along the way. Feel free to ask me any questions, and I really do hope somebody from Even Embers or whoever reaches out to me if they need any more, if they have any questions about my review, or you want more information what we think as consumers. I'll be more than happy to help them out. I think this is a great product for a great price. All right, right when I think there's not another awesome thing to report, there is. This just keeps on getting better. It is now 7:20. It was 400 degrees at 7:16, and there you saw it. And from 7:16 to 7:21, 5 minutes. It only took 5 minutes to go from 400 to 500 degrees, which is its maximum temp. You can't go any higher. You can go lower, but you can't go any higher. And one thing to notice, I want people to see here, on the set temp, when you dial it back, when you get to 500, it goes by 50-degree marks. So 450, 400, 350, 300, and now from 300 to 200, it's every 25 degrees. So 275, 250, 225, and 200. And then you set it by pressing this button in. It sets that temperature, and you're done. The pellets, it's been burning for the last hour and 15 minutes. They barely burn through anything. and that's at high temps. 400s mainly for 55 minutes an hour, and now 500 degrees for the last 5 minutes.